of all, thought provoking. Our goal is to educate and inspire positive action that will motivate change and understanding. This can only happen when we are willing to have an unspoken conversation. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Unspoken Conversations. Your words have power. Together, we will have a multi-generational conversation on topics that are considered taboo, risky, controversial, but most of all, thought-provoking. Our goal is to educate and inspire positive action that will motivate change and understanding. This can only happen when we are willing to have an unspoken conversation. Thank you for joining us. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome, everyone, to Unspoken Conversations. Your words have power. Thank you for joining us on your Sunday evening. I know you could be doing something else, but I appreciate you all taking the time out to come and join me in the conversation. So, if you have seen the um, ad for the podcast, this is episode 13, moving right along. Hey. And today we are going to talk about cancel culture versus accountability as our freedom of speech in jeopardy. So yeah, I bet a lot of you are like, okay, that's a rather deep uh conversation. But again, the whole premise behind this podcast is to have conversations about things, well, have conversations out loud about things that people are talking about in the privacy of their homes, the barbershop, the beauty salon, what have you. But, they're communicating in silos amongst themselves. But we need to be speaking out about these things that trouble us, that we're bothered by, um, that need to be exposed and things of that nature. Welcome, my sister Dantia. I appreciate you. She's so faithful. I love her. Her show up all the time. Yeah, I must go back and look at the previous episode where Dantia was actually one of my guests. We had a really riveting conversation, and I thank her so much for her input. So, anyway, with that being said, the first thing that I want to do is to share with you all the actual definition, or I don't know if I would say the actual definition. It is a definition that someone put together that I found on YouTube that I think will help to set the stage for our conversation. So bear with me. I think I remember last time I tried to present, I got kind of stuck because volume wasn't right. Before I do that, I would like to also introduce my guest for this evening. Happens to be one of my besties. Um, Her name is Ms. Jackie Beasley, and I've been knowing Jackie. What we 20 years in, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
we about 20
yeah, a
years.
little bit over that.
Yeah, and so and boy, me and Jackie, we will have some deep, riveting conversations about some things. We tend to fall on the same side of the coin, but with Jackie being just a little bit younger than me, I know that her there are perspectives that I may not necessarily have just because of the slight age difference. It's not huge, but it's far enough. where she I don't know, you're not considered a millennial, or you consider you so when the as the years move, the
Yeah,
millennial thing kind of move,
yeah,
right?
yeah. They moved. They
Right. So
moved.
so you're no longer officially a
No,
millennial, right?
no.
But you're not quite a are you a Gen X? I I don't know. Can they classify you a Gen X?
Oh, they could, but I don't feel like I am. I mean,
Right. I yeah, see that part. Yeah.
yeah,
So we gonna leave that alone. But
yeah.
here is so the video that I'm going to um share. That's the name of the video. And bear with me again. It is going to give us a basis for this discussion. It is I don't want to say I necessarily agree 100% with every point in this video, but again, I feel like it gives us a base, something to start from. So give me a moment. I will go ahead and share.
Mom.
Bye, Liam. Don't make a mess.
My apologies for the commercials. We're buffering. Oh, how are you buffering? Hmm. Well, gee whiz, we should not. It's the commercial that's buffering. Hmm. Hmm. Let us do this. Hmm. Hmm.
Sticks and stones may break.
Hmm. My apologies. I'm not understanding why it's buffering unless one of our these platforms doesn't want me to share or show the video. But I didn't have this problem before. Hmm. Hmm. That's interesting. Hmm. Hmm. All right. My apologies. We're gonna try this again because I had it working. I'm wondering if something is one of the platforms. It's not. It can't be YouTube, so it has to be Facebook. Maybe trying to block um, me showing this video. The video itself is not It's definitely not controversial, so it should not be a problem.
Sticks and stones may break
There
my
you go.
bones, but words can never hurt me. That's an old saying.
Oh my goodness. Oh, look at the devil.
Some
Mm,
of us have heard for years, but our words
mm, really. Hmm.
today gained much of its traction online. Here's how it happens: a celebrity or public figure says or does something offensive. People, usually online, call it out. Then comes public backlash. It's a modern
Hmm. Okay. Okay. I give up. Now, Zia said it's the weather. Anyway,
You guys got bad weather in Charlotte?
um, well, yeah, it's there's some storms, but now it's playing without when I wasn't sharing it. But anyway, we gonna push forward. So
Okay.
basically, cancel. Uh, I really wanted to build a basis for what culture is because so many do not know what it is or understand what it is. So, what I'm going to do is read the definition of cancel culture. Cancel culture is a phrase contemporary to the late 2010s and early 2020s used to refer to a culture in which those who are deemed to have acted or spoken in an unacceptable manner are ostracized, boycotted, or shunned. So that's it in a nutshell. So, in doing my research on this, again, I came across a video this video that I have on screen that I was trying to share. For those who are watching, if you're interested in what the video says, then that's the link. But I chose this topic because I feel like I'm noticing a trend. Um, and I got some I have some concerns. Uh I recently was listening to, so first it was that video, and then it was I watched Barack Obama on The View, and he gave his interpretation of what cancel culture is. And after they had the conversation with him, they continued to have a conversation. And I remember Sunny says that she considered cancel culture to be accountability. And I thought that was really interesting, because if that be the case, who is making the determination of what one should be held accountable for and what one should not be? Um, and if you have a society who has adapted a culture that makes determinations on what you said and or did or did, is they don't like it, then what happened to your freedom of speech? So I had Jackie listen to those same videos. So Jackie, when so the first video about that pretty much gave the definition, or the one of the definitions of what cancel culture is, and based on the one that I just read, um what is your take on that definition, and the whole notion basically?
Um, I watched the videos. I thought the view was the most interesting because they had different points of views. Also, they've all been subjected to a quote unquote cancer culture energy at some point in their career
Mm-hmm.
for being there. I don't think it lies on accountability because I agree. How are we to determine who are account? What are we determining what you're accountable for? Right. I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
personal opinion, but you also have to decide if you making or you rely on other people's to tell you what to think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is it your true feelings? Is this
Right.
what you think? Or if the thought is so overpowering that it changes your mind, or you lie in the middle and you go more towards what is acceptable, which would be the canceling of an individual, and you take yourself
Mm-hmm.
out of it and you become a part of the norm. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think if someone asks themselves that question, are we left with the room to decide that for ourselves? Or if it's so overpowering when you go on social media, it's everywhere. You can't
Mm-hmm.
turn on the television. You can't turn on social media for any cause. You're being fed different personalities, different points of views, and if you have one, someone might change it because they have a point of view that might be different, that you can say I can almost agree with that, being it on their particular point based on their experiences. So I think the definition is great, um, but it depends on how that person intakes it and
Mm-hmm.
understands it for themselves, whether or not they are impressionable, if they have a strong sense of self and awareness,
Mm-hmm.
or if they easily can, their mind can be changed. And we have I mean, the world is full of a pot of different personalities to fit. And we're not the people that cut the checks that's going to make that determination, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
So when I think about it, and I think about the individuals that have been canceled. So first of all, so I think that being canceled is a a group or or a mob mentality that decided that what somebody did was wrong, and so they're going to hold them accountable. And the way that you hold them accountable is, especially if they're on TV, we're going to cancel your show, or we're going to suspend you for 2 weeks, and when you come back, you got to make a public announcement. um and so I when I think about it in that context, it look, it reminds me of control. You have entities, you want to control what people say and they do. If you don't think that it's appropriate, if you think that it's offensive, then you're gonna cancel them.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, like, okay, people, y'all not realizing what's happening right now? So one of the one of the people, so I was looking at like different celebrities who had been canceled. So the first thing, let's first talk about your freedom of speech. So First Amendment states the following: we have protect under the First Amendment, we are protected for the freedom of religion, freedom of expression, speech, freedom of the press, and for peaceable assembly. So freedom of speech. Let's just stay focused on freedom of speech. Do we believe that, or do we agree that because the U.S. Constitution says I have freedom of speech, does that give me license to say whatever I want to say whenever I want to say it?
I believe in the frame of what that context is. Yeah, because you give other people a green light to do so, depending on the platform they have or the social stance they're taking. And then on the lower level, you tend to pull it apart, and then you start to question it. So I think it really depends on the frame, and that's where we're at right now. Before it was just the First Amendment. You can have that by press, you can have that, you can say that whatever, but now you have to dissect it a bit, right? And in the frame of how you're having your thought process, you can either be on the true definition, or
Mhm.
you can borderline into other areas. And that's where that question is. Where are we going beyond the
Yeah,
First Amendment where we are right now?
yeah, right. So like I so for me, like, I don't feel like it's that black and white. I don't feel like it was that black and white when the Constitution was written, and it's absolutely not that black and white now. So you think so? Let's go on the premise, right, that you have the right to say what you want to say when you want to say it. So you cannot walk into an auditorium full of people and yell fire, because should you do so, that is that is considered inciting a riot or confusion or what have you. And so and by doing so, you run the risk of people possibly getting hurt or what have you. So you don't actually have
Okay.
freedom of speech. Um, so I think of it. I think of it like this. I think that it should be not so much based on interpretation, but based on responsibility. So even though you have the right to say what you want to say whenever you want to say it, the responsible individual is not going to walk into an auditorium full of people and yell fire, because he or she knows by doing so the level of chaos that you create by doing that. Uh um let's say somebody decides that they want to walk into an auditorium full of people of color, and they decide that they want to come in there, they're going to stand in the middle of the room and they're going to point and they're going to call various people the N-word. This is a one of our lighter skinned cousins. What's the likelihood of that lighter skinned cousin making it out of that auditorium?
Mm-hmm.
I was slim to none. So yeah, you really can't say everything that you want to say whenever you want to say it, because when doing so, you run the risk of creating problems. We'll just call them problems. Um, it could be a riot. It could be pandemonium. It could be a myriad of things. But I feel like when people are trying to use the First Amendment to support their various claims and what have you, it's like freedom of the press. You just can't go and write an article about somebody and say whatever you want to say about them, and it ain't even true.
Mm-hmm.
They said that's called slander. So
Yeah.
there's already I guess like maybe like an underlying or unspoken rule, so to speak, of what you can and cannot say. So my thing is this: when you should be checked on what you say and or do if what you said or did has malicious intent.
That's true.
Um
But how far would you? Okay, so if you have malicious intent, when you look at, then that doesn't go into uh, the cancel part of it, because when I look at cancel, your explanation that you just said just now, that's
mhm,
the headliner. That's how I'm categorizing it, right? And then you go into a whole nother area now that you have to apply that First Amendment to this social environment that we're in right now. So most of this cancel behavior is someone stating their personal point of view, or they are being uh, their statement is being pulled apart or said or thought of in a certain way. You can. It's a difference between whether
mhm,
you're talking to someone on the phone and whether you're sending somebody an email.
mhm,
So you have that tone being
mhm,
either constructed as you are making it malicious, right? But if you're doing it on a social media platform, that goes into what area you're in, right? The responsibility. Responsibility goes out the door when you at a wider spectrum of social media. That's your personal page. But if it also goes in, if you are a celebrity, if you're a politician, that's where the responsibility lies, right? And you understand I am a public figure, so anything I put out there is going to be interpreted a certain way, and you have that responsibility of doing that. But does it take away from how you said it based on the output, right? So if you're saying it's whatever statement, and half of the world takes it one way, and half the world takes the other way, they're going to lean towards the negative first. So the responsibility is to not even say it at all, right? So how I'm questioning, not questioning, but I'm thinking about your malicious intent, right?
Well, so I feel like we know malicious intent. So like you just said, like your own Facebook page. So
Right.
here goes a definition. Here goes an example of how we don't really have um freedom of speech. Well, I'm not gonna say we don't have freedom of speech. You have platforms and what have you that have guidelines. So you got a Facebook page. You cannot have a Facebook page, a Twitter account, or well, I'm not sure about Twitter and Instagram, but at least on Facebook, I know that you can't have a Facebook page and you're promoting violence
Right.
because they're gonna take you down.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there, just at that point, you just now infringed on somebody's freedom of speech. Correct?
From that person, even though the statement had malicious intent, they took away from the freedom of speech.
So no, so I'm saying like if you have a Facebook page, and on your Facebook page, right, you everything that you post is all about violence. It's all about killing somebody, but it's totally negative. Ain't nothing positive on it. And so Facebook was like, yo, no, this is what we don't do. And so Facebook takes your page down because they're not going to allow you to spew that level of venom on their platform. At that point, when Facebook took the page down, that is considered, from all intents and purposes, it is considered an infringement on one's freedom of speech, because the Facebook platform says you can't use this platform to do that.
But in order to use the platform, you have to abide by their terms and conditions, which would be, we have a right, you're using our platform for this, for to make these statements that we don't agree with. Now, if you have your own personal platform, if you're writing a letter to the newspaper, back in the day, the article will basically be in the newspaper, and they will have to determine whether or not they're going to publish it. But this is social media. You have terms and conditions for you sign up to make that decision. So I don't think it relies on freedom of speech, because the right is taken away from you in that way when you're using someone else's source for that, the services for your information to put out to other people. I think that's where it goes.
But but it's almost contradictory, because these platforms promote a space where people can freely come and express themselves.
Yeah, and be creative and
right. But then you put you put limitations on them. But you can come and be a creative and freely express yourself and yada yada yada, whatever, as long as you don't do this, that, and the other. Okay. Let's go back to the same page.
You always have to be policed, right? So you're policing it, right? Just like you police in society.
But so the question, because okay, so I'm gonna go back to the page, the page that he's spewing all of this hate and what have you. Should Facebook be allowed to take that page down because of the content?
That's the question you asked me. Should they be allowed to take it off?
Mhm. I'm
Um,
asking you and anybody else in the that's in the audience, or for those who will listen later.
I would think Facebook has a right to take it down because I'm looking at I look at it from the if I'm using Facebook, if I when I, once I sign up for Facebook, then I make an obligation that you own whatever I put up there.
Mm.
Right? I'm using your platform for my verbal intent, or either to get more people into one group or to be heard, whatever the cases is. Once I put that on my status, you now own it. It is no longer proprietary to me. So
Mm.
whatever you do with it is on you, right? So I
Mhm.
do feel that they have a right to take it down because then you own it. It's like anytime you do on Google. Anytime you go on Google and you put some kind of personal information on there, once you create a website,
Mhm.
once you use Google Translate, it is now owned by the internet. It's the same kind of
Mhm.
concept that I'm putting in with that. So I would say, yeah.
Mhm. So I agree with Carlotta. She said yes if it promotes violence to cause disruption, but no if it is raising awareness. And so and I agree, and that is where the um that is where the friction starts, because I do feel like if what you're saying is um again back to malicious intent, if what you're saying is significant enough that it can do damage to somebody, it can do it it can incite a riot. um it can lead people, somebody can get out there and do a video and say that this, that, and the other was happening somewhere, and they keep hammering it, right, saying
Yeah.
that this is happening, and people are watching and what have you, and they like, oh, what, really, that's what's happening? And then all of a sudden this person says, hey, we need to all get together, um and get our guns and whatever, get our arms right, and we're gonna go over here and we're gonna take care of this, because this person used
And that has happened.
I know.
Yeah.
I absolutely know. So when you so we in this funny place, when can I say what I want to say when I want to say it, since the Constitution says I have that right?
But now you have these other social media areas coming up like Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Is because they're leaving it more. Twitter is, people are leaving Twitter, Facebook, and going to something like the Twitch, or these black holes that are allowing these areas, these conversations to happen. And there are now, you can see, this is where that mentality is, that
Mm-hmm.
these
Mm-hmm.
malicious group, these violent groups are recruiting people because
Mm-hmm.
they have more freedom of speech on those platforms. So yeah, I completely, now when you frame it like that, I completely understand it. Yeah, I get it.
Mm-hmm. So Vanessa said freedom of speech is a right, but not to the detriment of others. I agree. You
Mhm.
can't unnecessarily scream fire in a crowded place and not expect to get punished. Thank you, Vanessa, because that was the example that I used earlier. So let's look at like some recent celebrities. So Roseanne Barr. When Roseanne came back, uh like Roseanne revamped. Apparently, I didn't see it. I just, heard about it. But she said she posted a racist tweet. I don't know exactly what the tweet was. If anybody knows, do share. Um,
It was about
but,
Michelle Obama.
huh?
It was about Michelle Obama.
Oh, so tell us, Jackie, what did she say? Because I,
Um,
I missed it.
I believe it was something to the point of, and I don't want to be wrong in this, but I think she almost compares her to an animal. in some state, in some way.
Mm.
It was a feature because I followed this because I was
Mm.
very. It was one of the scenarios that the quick reaction was very impressive. And I it was impressive because she actually made the statement against a black woman and she reported to a black woman. So I
Mm.
believe the reason why that was such of a quick band-aid, like you haven't heard from her since. The president of ABC is a black woman. So as
Mhm.
soon as that statement made, ABC made a statement on Twitter right away. The next day, she was removed from the actual
Like
show
quickly.
quickly. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I remember a statement said once you make a statement of a black woman, and you forgot you had to report to one the next day.
Mm.
So her scenario was kind of out. It was no long. It was not social media involved in that. The powers that be
Mhm.
made a bigger decision because it
Mhm.
impacted directly a particular woman
Mhm.
of a black woman's
Mhm.
facial features.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember that.
So with that being said, do we think that something in Roseanne Barr's head rights made her feel like, oh, it was okay to do that?
Oh yeah, her comedy years ago was always raunchy. You know, she's been a comedian for years before she was in the
Mhm.
Roseanne Barr show. She was physical. I remember her
Mhm.
being very raunchy, very challenging. You know, she was on the Rodney. She was like the female Rodney Dangerfield, you would say.
Mm.
You know, so she that didn't change about her once she got on television because
Mhm.
they almost used that to create Roseanne, right? So her
Mhm.
comfortability of stating that was
Mhm.
she thought she was still in that world.
Mhm.
Because had she said that 20 years ago, it probably would have never made the light of day. But now she just didn't realize this is the world we live in now. So the Roseanne Barr
Mhm.
that's been doing this for 30 years can't get away with this. So
So then that leads into a good point. So we know comedians, they talk about anything and everything. So is it, I mean, is it appropriate to hold a comedian accountable to something that he made a joke about? Like, you remember, that's why Kevin Hart couldn't host the Oscars, because they said he had said something about the LGBTQ plus community several years ago in one of his comedy stand-ups. And so apparently somebody found the clip, soundbite, whatever, and sent it in, and they was like, yeah, no.
yeah. I think that
And
kind of happened at the beginning of the cancel, like the birthing of the cancel culture. He was affected by that. I think it evolved a little bit more, where you have people that have a more strong opinion, meaning why can't they say what they want to say is just comedy? You know, he's a comedian.
mhm,
That was years ago, and at the time that happened, there was no there was no room for error with the cancel culture. It was, be done or all. But right now, even now,
mhm,
I think people look back at that and make statements as that wasn't right for Oscar to do that. But Kevin
mhm,
Hart made a determination that he's going to stand his ground, and he said he'll never do the Oscars again. Like he will never take on um, an accepted invite for the Oscars
mhm,
because of that.
yeah. And I think right. So then, like I said, so then with that being said, so we feeling like, no, a comedian should not be held accountable to things that they say um in their comedy acts? Because, so here's the thing, it's funny. You as a comedian, your goal is to make people laugh. And so all jokes that comedians tell is about real life stuff. And you pick something in that, in that particular culture or whatever, right? That stands out as, I don't know, maybe odd or whatever, and you make a joke about it because that's what you do. But just because you made a joke about it does not necessarily mean that you have issues with a particular group of people.
Right. Right.
So
Being on stage versus having Twitter and saying it, if you're actually in your profession, if you're on a comedy stage and you're using that and that's the purpose of it, that's one thing. But if you're making a statement on Twitter, again, that's the difference between an in-person conversation. You can see the facial expressions of that nature. But if you're on Twitter, it's like writing an email. You don't know the tone. You don't know anything. So that's the accountability. I know I'm a comedian and it can be taken a certain way if I'm on stage because I can give the expressions, I can give the dialogue, and I can read the room. But if you say it on Twitter, you don't know how that's going to be interpreted. So if you make a decision to say a joke that you know it will be difficult to pass on stage, have you not add that animated state to it? The accountability is if I put this out here and if it gets interpreted wrong way, then I have to be accountable for what comes after it. So
I agree with you on that. So I mean, it's presentation, I guess you would say. Right. So if what you say is part of your act, your goal is just simply to make people laugh, and so you're going to say and or do whatever it is that you need to do to make people laugh. So perfect. So I think about one of these comedians that I just love. I love him, and he ain't a big time headliner, but he funny as all get out. So Arnez J, in part, and one of the something that he always incorporates into his act is he talks about his brother, and his brother so but let's just go. So I'm gonna just go ahead and say his brother has special needs, but what makes makes it funny is the mannerism in which he portrays his brother, and his brother can't speak that well. He know what he's trying to say, but he can't really speak that well. But anyway, the whole act is hilarious. So, but the goal is to make people laugh. So why would look, Americans with Disabilities group come and wanna cancel him, right? Because they're trying to say he was disrespecting disabled people. Oh, he made it.
I'm surprised they haven't because they complain about everything else. I'm surprised. Have they? Not
that I know, because he was just here in Charlotte and he did again. So
I'm sure it's gonna happen.
But with that being said, that's part of his act. So let's say you take that same whatever he said in his act, and now he tweets it. So now, are you tweeting to make people laugh? Because at the end of the day, you don't know if nobody laughed or not unless they respond back to ha laughing out loud, this and another. Like, really? Like, I don't know any comedians that tweet jokes. That's like, no.
It's very hard to laugh at a written joke. Not unless you heard it on stage before, and you can, if you've been to a Kevin Hart, how the comedians repeat things, it automatically clicks, and you know what they're talking about. But you have to have a following for that. You have to have a background for that. Again, it goes in the accountability stage.
So
the same.
So I got one for y'all. So now y'all brace yourself, because this happened this year. I just found it, I was like, wait a minute, what? So this is our boy Kevin Hart. In February of this year, Kevin Hart was supposed to do a show in Cairo, Egypt. They canceled his show in Cairo, Egypt, because Kevin Hart said Egyptian kings were black. He said ancient, excuse me, because I'm quoting, ancient Egyptian kings were black. So they canceled his show in Cairo, Egypt. I'm sorry. That's a fact. That is a 100% fact. So how his show get canceled behind that? Because Cairo, Egypt, are they trying to suggest, right, that they not black? Did they get offended that he said that? To the point, oh, you can't tell no jokes here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, huh? But then that takes me to Whoopi, which that's what really broke my heart, because I really was hoping that Whoopi Goldberg was going to stand up for the cause. But Whoopi said, I don't know if y'all remember Whoopi Goldberg. I'm not really sure. Oh, I think it had to do with did it have to do with Ukraine? That's how they got into this conversation. All I know is that Whoopi Goldberg said that Hitler was not racist, and Joy Byer asked Whoopi, he's not. She said, why isn't he? And Whoopi said, because what he did, he did to white people. So how does that make him racist? So everybody at the table at the View, they were sitting there like deers in headlights, like they didn't know what to say, like they didn't get it, including Sonny. I'm like, why you don't understand what she's saying? Well, needless to say,
they just knew the platform. they understood.
But it's a View. But technically though, she didn't say anything wrong.
Yeah. I think it borderlines on culture. Just when you look at both scenarios from my international, I work internationally from cultural basis. I deal with Egypt a lot. I directly deal with a couple of people from Egypt. We have a lot of cultural conversations. So let me just get back to Kevin Hart. It is in Egypt, it's kind of like they want to shun away that they are truly African people. There is
because Egypt's still in Africa, right?
Yes, Egypt's still in Africa, but it's very. It's like if you go to like Singapore, African Americans, it is very racist. To be frank, it is racist in Egypt. They are not fans of Black people. That is a cultural understanding that I've had for years dealing with Egypt, even recently in some of the culture conversations I have now. From Kevin Hart's point of view, I think that was clear from the beginning. If he took the position to have a show there, very aware of it, he was possibly asked that question as a bait, because that's not. I mean, anyone who travels to Egypt now, even if you're African American, that is something that they tell you about certain areas of where you will be. I know that recently from my son's grandparents who just traveled there and had that type of experience where they had the guide to make sure there were certain areas because they were with a group of Black people. So Kevin Hart being aware of that in the business that he's in, he possibly was baited just like Whoopi in certain ways for that culturally, right? This is a cultural topic. This is a very sensitive topic. This is the debatable topic. So, we're going to discuss it and have your point of view. He stated his point of view, And is that strong in Egypt where they canceled him? Is it right? No. But anyone who
Yeah,
deals with
but ain't it a difference between a point of view and a fact?
right. I mean, we all know that, right? The fact is the fact, but when you get in the different areas of culture, fact goes out the window. It's more
Mm,
about this. We don't say that word in the house. We don't speak that way. This is, it's just a general rule in society, right? They just like the USA right now, like Texas, they're trying to take away, Black history being taught in schools. It's just something that you basically try to use the powers that be and make a general rule, then to
mhm,
force it down. We don't want to be taught that. So you have it culturally when you get into these different areas that it doesn't go into cancel when you're getting into Egypt and things of that nature. It's more culturally based and religion and all of that. But when you get to the View, I believe Whoopi was baited for that
mm,
statement.
mm,
I think
mhm,
everyone on that, I think it was more people who agreed with her than they didn't, but they looked at the fact that what are the producers going to say? What is everyone is going to say? And they had to follow along with that statement. But I think behind doors, a lot of people agreed with her. But nobody would stick by her. Nobody would
mhm.
stand by her. That's just my
Right,
personal point of view. Because
right, and then,
it's fact.
huh?
It's
Right,
fact.
right, and then when she came back, so they suspended her for 2 weeks, and when she came back, she had to do a public apology to the president of the what is it, the Anti-Defamation League.
Yeah.
And I was really disappointed. I promise you, I really, really, really wanted her to stand her ground.
But how many people does she have with her to care to help her stand her ground? I didn't see many people coming behind Whoopi and
Mhm.
saying she has a right to say this. She's been in industry for a long time. She's been
Right, no, right. Nobody
several different
supported her.
people. Nobody supported her. So what do you do when you have to keep your job? When you have to make sure you make a statement when your boss says this
Mm,
impacted 10 things that will
mm,
directly impact you, but you don't have any other people saying like it's going to impact her, but we have her back. An argument at least. She didn't have that. So she
right,
had to
right.
make that movement. When you look at
Mhm,
Kevin Hart, he looked at it and said it's just the Oscars. They're not paying me to do that. They're not
mm,
I have a following, right? I have my
mhm,
following is my people who laugh at me, not the
mhm.
people who worried about me hosting the Oscars. Those
Right.
people in that audience don't go to my shows. You know what I mean? So it's a difference. I think she
Mm,
bended because she didn't have the support.
mm,
It makes a
yeah.
difference. And if we
Mhm.
support each other a little bit more, making those statements instead
Yeah.
of using our fingers in the comment section, you know, and being in
Mhm.
a position
Right,
that
right.
we can hold the other people that's holding her accountable, also accountable, or be
Mhm.
at the table with them to have that
Mhm.
discussion, it will make a difference on those platforms.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. So, that cancel culture, bottom line is that cancel culture is an has an issue. It has an issue because I don't I do not think that it is being used responsibly. I think that those who have the power are wielding um what the power, what they what is acceptable and what is not acceptable.
Mhm.
There is no you got that First Amendment, but it does it right now is just there.
Mhm.
It's like it's in the Constitution. It ain't like you can't take it out, but we're not going to enforce it because we must control. We're gonna try to control whatever it is that we can control, and all the way down to speech. I feel like a responsible thing to do is, Vanessa has said earlier, look at the intent of the person when they make the statement. Um, like if you like when Kevin Hart made his, when he said um what ancient Egyptian kings um were black. Well, number one, that's a fact. So that must mean that whoever got upset in Cairo, Egypt, must think that they not black. I would love to know what was their reasoning behind what is their reasoning behind, but behind canceling his show, taking offense to what he said. But at the end of the day, like I said, cancel culture is applicable when you have persons who are doing who operate with malicious intent. Um outside of that, outside of that, no, you should not be infringing on anybody's freedom of speech. uh Another video that maybe some people would be interested in listening to, I listened to or I watched a video on YouTube. It was Killer Mike. And Jackie, you remember the name of that video?
No, I'll look at it because I did see it. I watched it. Killer Mike was being
uh,
Killer Mike. Hold on.
oh my goodness, I would have loved to have shared it, but he was, look, I was like, oh, why are you doing all that cursing? But I'm looking for it now.
Yeah, me
I'm gonna
too.
post it. I'm gonna post it so so those
I
who.
like the lead up to where he was, the story. He brought people where he wanted
Mhm,
them to be as he told the story of the teacher and his mom, being in the same classroom
mhm,
as his mother, like that. It was, you got to bring people to the place. He was
yeah,
very good at that. Yeah.
yeah. The thing that he says, and again, I absolutely recommend that people watch this video. But the thing that he said that really stuck out to me, he was like, he basically said, how can we grow and develop as a people if you're going to stifle a person's speech? Because when you stifle that person's speech, you also impact the person who was going to hear it. And it could be a learning opportunity for the person, for the hearer. And so his thing was, you can't, he was like, you have to be mindful, that when you stop somebody from speaking, you stop somebody else from hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And even though he said, even though it may be something that you don't necessarily agree with or what have you, there's a whole lot of stuff out there that a lot of us don't necessarily agree with. But if it's going to promote growth and uh change or what have you, you're gonna have to suck it up, and you have to suck it up, and you're gonna have to listen, right? Because look, our very look, our very existence very well could depend on it. And what I mean by that is that we so scripture says, my people will perish for lack of knowledge. So when I hear that lack of knowledge, that we will perish because of a lack of knowledge, I can elaborate on that further and say, my people will perish, right, because they don't know each other.
Mm-hmm.
They know nothing about each other. um we it's like we're it's like we're all foreigners living in the same land. The trying to get the name of the of that video is Killer
Well,
Mike speech. Lets me know my he says the name of the video is Killer Mike free speech lets me know my enemy. So let me put that in there for you guys. So free. So takeaways, Jackie.
my takeaway, I think I didn't think about this before. When you hit on the Kevin Hart versus Whoopi, is you have a lot of cultural or personal background, how you were raised, some of your religion, some of your stock or fabric has to do with what you decide on a personal base, whether or
Mhm.
not you will join the canceling of a particular topic.
Mhm.
When it comes to um, people in positions that are in a higher authority to be seen more than individuals, when they're making a powerful statement, that is freedom of speech. That is fact. There's not
Mhm.
enough people that make that statement for them to be comfortable to stay in that place. And I
Mhm.
think the reason why cancel culture is breathing life, is continually growing and growing stronger, and more is being taken away from individuals, is because you have more people bending than standing up.
Mhm.
And until we have people that support the people who make these factual statements or statements of freedom of speech, then we will continue to go down a slippery slope of no one can say anything at all. You'll be
Well,
you'll
yeah, it
be told,
ultimately that's exactly what it all does. It creates
you're gonna be told what to
it
think.
creates that slippery
Right,
slope.
right. The
Mhm.
slippery slope. You're gonna be told what to think. We're all gonna be robotic.
Mhm.
And it's almost everybody is wearing the same shirt, the red shirt
Mhm.
every day, right? The same
Mhm.
red shirt every day. And if somebody comes
Mhm.
out with a yellow shirt, we're all, you know, you put the scarlet letter on them. That's pretty much where I think
Mhm.
this is leaning over to. So my takeaway is that is not is if it's bad now, it's gonna be worse
Mm.
because we all gonna be wearing that red shirt at some point.
Mm. Right. And so I equate that to it's all about control.
Right.
It's all about controlling a people. If you say something that we don't like, we don't agree with, you canceled. You're going to be held accountable for what you said. First of all, I got a problem with that because
Hmm.
who how does somebody know what who how you who authorized somebody to be able to hold me accountable to something I said?
Hmm.
Like what? Um, and on top of which, what I had said early in the conversation, the trend that I see. So I can't say that it's only people of color. However, the vast majority of people who get canceled, right, are people of color. That's real suspect to me. Now, again, we do have some lighter skinned celebrities who were canceled, but overall, the vast majority are people of color. And yeah, I had a problem with that because again, that's control. As you are really trying to get us take us back to slavery days. You when they need to know yeah, folks ain't finna go for that. Um so many other actors or celebrities we could have could have named. But yes, I implore everyone to really think about this whole notion of cancel culture and what exactly does it mean to us as a society. And it should really uh mean a lot to us because, and I want to end on this note. Everybody remembers when the other guy the other person that was in office told us that he was grabbing women in the crotch, and when nobody upset about that, nobody was offended about that. Matter of fact, when he said it, he wasn't even president yet, and he got voted in. So how was it okay for and malicious intent? Oh, you said that because you wanted to be nasty. You wanted to demonstrate how you roll, what type of person that you are. So no, yes, why he didn't get canceled? He should have got canceled. Because now if he'd have been darker skinned and said, look, if Barack Obama had said that, Barack Obama would not have been president. Vanessa said, uppity, ring a bell? Mm, yeah, yeah. So anyway, Jackie, thank you so much. Did you have fun?
This was very fun. It's like our normal conversations. We just on
Yes.
camera. We have these
Yes.
deep conversations. So this was fun. This was fun. I'm glad that I was able to come and have this conversation. Yeah.
Likewise, likewise. Yes, it is like how we normally have our conversations. However, I wanted the platform is so that I can have conversation with multiple people and get multiple views. Because as I started, I'm not an authority on anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, I got some views, and I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to hear a different perspective. um and I feel like I'm fortunate enough to be able to have a platform where I can do that. And even though it's just starting out, look, I got to keep going because this thing gonna gain momentum.
It
This
is.
thing gonna
These,
get this
these,
this thing gonna
these
gain
topics was
momentum.
good. It was very.
And I gotta get
My
ready.
first time experience. My first time doing. Only you can get me to do this. Um, but this was
Mhm.
very, very good. The videos you gave me, um, in preparation and give you the thought process. The topics you have are on point. I like the feedback from the comments. I like Vanessa who said cancel culture is modern day boycotting because I had that thought in my head as I was looking at
Mhm.
the videos. I had to frame it,
Mhm.
with the topic. So she hit it on the head with that.
Mhm.
But I think these platforms are necessary to have these kind of thoughts because you have to kind of really release that thought process because it's so deep rooted. It's so much going on that if you don't voice it or at least get it
Mhm.
out to have those intellectual
Mhm.
conversations or just hear different opinions that you feel
Mhm.
free to do so
Yeah.
is necessary for your mental
Mhm.
health as well.
Mhm.
These
Mhm.
are good mental health conversations
Mhm.
if you want to put them in that
Yep.
perspective.
And yeah, and so my goal is never to hurt or disrespect anybody. Um,
Wait a
I do
minute.
not have an issue with my lighter skinned cousins.
Wait a minute.
I don't have an issue with my lighter skinned cousins. I think it's sad that my lighter skinned cousins don't know that they my cousin. If anything. So no, I don't have an issue with my lighter skinned cousins, though I do have an issue with my lighter skinned cousins because they think that they better than me. And
Mm.
look, that happened in our households. But yeah, I don't, I don't, I don't, I got a problem that they think that. And so I feel obligated to have these open conversations, um, and to let them know, look, we're not, we're not getting ready to do nothing to you, but please know that some of us are aware of what you're doing.
I see
Exactly. That part. We look, all of us ain't sleep.
you. Yeah, that
Okay.
that right there is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
That's necessary because when I look at social media now, and I have to look, sometimes you don't want to look at the comments, but sometimes I want to see what other people are saying. It's so
Mm-hmm.
disappointing to see
Mm-hmm.
my people just not allow themselves to think outside of the box or be firm on something. So
Mm-hmm.
that, saying that not all of us are okay
Yeah,
with
man.
it.
That
Yeah.
that bandwagon mentality.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna go ahead and end, but really quick, and it's maybe Vanessa and Tasha and Carla, they can help us. Remember the conversation we was having about so I felt like it fell under the category of blacks in media, but you said no. But we wanted to talk about how how we don't understand our place as it with regards to media and how we are manipulated. So remember we saw my Kiki Palmer.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I was wondering if you were talking to people here. Kiki Palmer, yeah, and Tiffany Haddish,
So
yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I need late. So everybody, I need a title. So the idea is, talking about how people of color are used and manipulated by the media to attack other people of color. And they're so oblivious to what's happening, that it is destroying our relationships.
They looking at the shiny car. Look over here, but you don't know what we doing over here. They got the shiny car mentality, you know. But yeah, I think that's an interesting topic. I've seen a lot
Right.
of that.
Yeah, I think I want to do that. I think I want to do that topic next episode. I just need a
You
title.
know, I got a whole lot to say with Miss Kiki Palmer with her statement.
Hmm.
I had a whole
Hmm.
lot to say on that one.
Hmm. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Yeah, you all have a blessed evening. Please like and share this video, whether you watch via Facebook or you watch via YouTube. Either way, if you watch via YouTube, please subscribe so you know when I go live. And the videos that we were referring to, I also have them posted on
Mhm.
the YouTube channel. But again, please like and share, and subscribe. Keep coming back and supporting and engaging me in conversation. Our host is he was off tonight because his today is his wife's birthday, so he is off celebrating his wife. So
You let no
yay,
parents know that
look,
I
yay, young love, huh?
tell parents, to critique me. How did I do? And
Paris ain't, I promise you, Paris not finna critique you. He not. He gonna be like, Jackie did really good.
I know that's my parents. I know.
Hmm. Hi, Miss Rena. Thank you so much for joining us. Miss Rena said, "I enjoy it. I enjoyed it my first time, and it was a blessing." Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm so glad you joined. I thank you very much for your support. Ooh, I like that title, Vanessa. Look, you see the title she did? She said,
Oh, Vanessa. Yes.
booyah. You better go ahead,
Talk
girl.
about headliner.
I like that. Can I use it? I'm gonna use it. I like that. You like that? I feel like that covers it.
Oh,
Woo!
that's
Oh,
an
that's
umbrella.
it.
That's an umbrella.
You said that's a who?
That's an umbrella. You said it
I,
cover it. It got it. Is it nothing?
yeah, that's it. Excellent. That's my girl. Excellent. Yep. Yep. That's the title. I love it. All right. Oh yes. All right, everyone. Love you all. Thank you again. Have a blessed night,
Right.
and see you not on that next Sunday, but the Sunday afterwards. Want to wish all the fathers out there happy Father's Day, and all the physical fathers and father uh what we call father step-ins, father images, role models. Just if you just act like a daddy to somebody, happy Father's Day. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.